That clock keeps ticking like a metronome, and my thoughts keep telling me to get me home, but my balls keep telling me to let me just let me Bitch keeps ticking like a metronome, and my thoughts keep telling me to get me home, but my balls keep telling me to let me just let me That clock keeps ticking like a metronome, and my thoughts keep telling me to get me home, but my
salute my glass.
telling me to let me Fuck all that shit, just let me go.
Broadcasting live from Heart of Europe. This is no badass. You broadcasting on own land. I was happy to see the shot point. Appointment today, another than the Optimist. How are you, sir? Happy Halloween, everybody. Already know some people know what I'm going to be talking about. I did this stream, and I tried to make it a little more spooky and stuff, and it was a disaster stream. And because I used spooky sounds and stuff back in 2017, I haven't told the story since. It was shortly wiped off of YouTube. No strike, but just wiped. And all it was like haunted house effects and stuff like that. I tried to do it. It was cringy. It didn't work. So I just thought I'd tell you the story of Antoine Le Blanc in New Jersey, a story I heard growing up. And also put my personal experience into this thing. So are you ready?
I'm ready.
You feeling spooky?
Yeah, I'm actually, because I'm interested in these little stories. Obviously, you've got the Ed Geins and stuff like that, all the past ones, and I love all that stuff, learning about that. But when you asked me about this, and I was like, I have no idea.
This is one you probably have to be a little bit of a nerdy ghost hunter-y guy to even know. This is something you'd have to know. It's kind of, and get this, Def Noodle's hometown, Morristown, New Jersey. That's where this particular incident takes place, and everything I'm about to tell you is 100% true and verified, and I will be able to verify it for you. And not only that, I'm not showing Optimus my screen because this does get absolutely bizarre. I've really never come across anything like this, and it does take place in 1833, but even by their standards, this is nuts. This is one of the nuttier stories I ever heard. But before we go back to 1833, let's go back to 1999. I'm about 23 years old, and I have a girlfriend, and I have an obsession, and I am really into haunted history. And I discovered this place through a few books, and also a quarterly magazine called Weird New Jersey, and we're going to be using a lot of the content there today. I actually developed a relationship for a short period of time with the writers and producers of Weird New Jersey, and shortly after that. But that was my thing, like a ghost hunting, urban exploration, going into insane asylums up in Caldwell, New Jersey, and stuff like that. I got a kick out of it. And the best part of, I actually did a tour of Eastern State Penitentiary, which is a jail where Al Capone was in Philadelphia. The thing that I really got out of it, I never got the you get to see the ghost, wakes up and freaks out, and I never really got that. But what I did get to do was I got to go to a lot of weird places and learn a lot of weird history, and it made America seem sort of undiscovered again. And here I am in these urban areas. This is quite interesting stuff. So in 1999, I was like, there's this haunted house. We got to go. It's a restaurant. We'll get something to eat. I'm telling my girlfriend, and she did not want to go. Not so much because it was haunted or anything. She just didn't want to go. And what I found out, the biggest reason is because the only car we had, which was a 1968 Volkswagen Beetle, a blue one, really wasn't
yellow.
It wasn't. No, it wasn't yellow. It was not Bumblebee Optimus Prime there. This was an old school Beetle, and it really wasn't prepared to make the trip up to 87. It was about an hour from my house in Woodbridge. And me and my girlfriend get in there, so I'm really excited. We're trucking. I'm noticing that she was driving, and I'm noticing this car is really, I think I can mode. And all of a sudden, the car comes to a stop just off the Morristown exit on 287. And if anybody's ever been on 287 or any highway in New Jersey, watch yourself. Watch yourself when you're, getting off on the shoulder. So the car goes in the shoulder. Good thing about Beetles, you can push them, and we pushed them as far as we could. But going into the exit, it was just too much of a slant. I was probably in one of the best shapes of my life, but unfortunately, my girlfriend was barely above 5 feet tall. I just happened to finding these women that were barely over 5 feet in my 20s, and the good news was the restaurant, or the haunted house, was just out off the exit. So we walked up the route into the exit, and I guess the plan was we'll get it's going to cost an arm and a leg, hundreds of dollars. We're going to tow this back to Woodbridge. We'll get something to eat. Maybe we'll get a hotel out there. We'll figure out something because now we're screwed anyway. So we make our way towards the haunted house. I think, did they have Google Maps back then? I don't remember. We certainly didn't do it by phone. So we had to kind of figure it out once we went in and there we see the house. I was like, I think that's it. That's the Sayer house. And we walked towards it, and now it's been renamed Jimmy's Haunt, embracing the history of the Sayer house. So I'm like, this is going to be cool. Oh, look, it's a museum / restaurant. Oh, this is the best. We make our way towards, and we start to notice there are no cars in the parking lot. This is not looking good. Short guy, black hair, comes out, and he kind of asks us, what are you doing? And I was like, well, you guys open? And he was, no, we haven't even had our grand opening yet. I'm from New Mexico. I just got the job as a head chef. We're still physically moving stuff in here. And we're like, oh. He's like, what's going on? I'm embarrassed. Like, I wanted to see the ghost.
You're like me.
Yeah. And he's like, you want to see the ghost?
Yeah.
Well, we got him. I'm like, really? You already got him? You nuts? I was like, for real? He said, absolutely. Do you want to come in the place? We can't serve you anything, but I'd like to give you a tour. I was like, yeah, absolutely. But as we got the tour, we got to see all the knickknacks and the things related to the haunting. But this is what happened. In 1833, by way of Germany, Antoine Le Blanc, he was one of those Euros. He wanted to go to the New World, put it all on the line, and see what that was all about. But unfortunately for Anton, he came from a reasonably well-to-do family. And, I've talked to Europeans living in Europe now to make that trek. I even had this conversation with Walt. To make that trek to the New World, especially nowadays, you have to have an old world mentality. The people that come now basically come with the shoes, and you have to have a hard work mentality. And you're not working for yourself, you're working for your family, and you will work yourself to the bone and die young. But the American dream is you make that place, but the first generation always makes the sacrifice. The ones that come from Europe, the ones that come from Mexico and all over the world. That first generation, they have it right. I've talked to Germans, like, I'd love to go to the States and start a new life. I'm like, yeah, I hate to say it, it's like, you're too soft. You've had free healthcare and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. You don't have the mentality. You have to go in with an immigrant's mindset and then think about not yourself, but the next generation. And I think that's what happened to Anton. I think that, he had no idea. He heard all about the wonders of the New World and he wanted to be a part of it, but he really had no idea what he was getting into. As Weird New Jersey reported, Antoine Le Blanc, a French immigrant by the way of Germany, arrived in New York in April of 1833. After 3 days in the New World, he was hired as a hand to work for a family farm of Samuel Sayer in Morristown, New Jersey. This would become, in 1999, Jimmy's haunt, the same restaurant that me and my girlfriend found. In exchange for his hog slopping and his wood chopping labors, LeBlanc was afforded a small room in the dank basement of the Sayer house, but no wages. So what happens when you spend all your money coming to the new world? You strike a deal with a farmer to work, and you have no income. You know what that makes you? A slave. And, by the way, slavery's legal at this time. So nobody's really going to have too much of a fucking problem with it. So here we go. After 3 years of the world, exchange laws. Okay. LeBlanc was put in a small room in a dank basement of the Sayer house, but no wages. He took his work orders from Mr. Sayer, his wife Sarah, and even the Sayer household servant, Phoebe, who was rumored to be an African-American slave. I don't know if that's ever been proven, but can you imagine being from France, potentially middle class, and now you're taking orders from a slave? Oh, and you have no money coming in. Phoebe, who is believed to be a slave, being the privileged son of a well-to-do European family, this arrangement probably did not sit too well with the 31-year-old LeBlanc. Well, there's another thing right there, Optimus. He came over too late.
Well, that's what I'm sitting there and I'm thinking.
Yeah, how old is he? He's already. When you're 30, I really don't think you become a total adult until 30. I think you might agree with me on that. I think that's the first time. Yeah, that's the first time I actually felt like an adult. You know, before that, I was nuts in my 20s. I'm surprised I survived it. You know, it's still a lot of kid when you're 22, 23, 24.
Oh, yeah. When I was even 29, I was still...
I would say 32 is when I got perspective on the last 10 years of my life. I'm like, holy shit. You know, I survived that shit. Stupid things I did. So think about this. This is the thing that I was warned about, is going to the Army at 27. Like, you're too old. You don't have the mentality. You're settled. You're grown. You kind of got to be unmolded to make this trip. And he was not ready to make this trip, if indeed he was from a well-to-do French family. It was about 2 weeks after he first started his menial chores on the Sayer farm, the LeBlanc decided that he could not suffer this indignity no longer. He began to plan his revenge. On the night of May 11th, LeBlanc returned to the Sayer house at 10:30 p.m. After drinking in a local tavern, faking stress, he summoned Samuel Sayer out of his stable, where he said there was a problem with the horses. Carrying a candle, Sayer made his way out to the barn, where LeBlanc proceeded to smash in his employer's face with a shovel, spattering pieces of Sayer's brain all over his coat. The killer then repeated the ploy to Mrs. Sayer, finishing her off with a kick to the head from one of his heavy boots. And if I had imagined what boots were like back then, holy crap, you know, these are much heavier than a pair of Timbs, I would imagine. You know? After hiding the two bodies beneath the nearby pile of manure, LeBlanc made his way to the main house, where he found Phoebe asleep in her bedroom on the second floor. LeBlanc then caved in the unsuspecting girl's skull with a single blow from a club. Needless to say, a murder like this nowadays would be worldwide news if it happened in Morristown.
Yeah. Back
then, this would drive this community to the brink. I wouldn't even say the brink. They crossed the plane of utter insanity, and it affected more than, you know, people that cared about the Sayer family. It affected most of the state. After the murder sprees, LeBlanc frantically scuffled to whatever household valuables he could get into pillowcases, and set off down the road on one of Sayer's horses. In his haste to escape the scene of the crime, he unknowingly left a trail of stolen booty on the roadway that would later mark his route. Dipshit.
It's those French, Tommy, I'm telling you.
Dipshit. I cannot go without my wine glasses. You know, I mean,
I dropped the ship again.
I have no other, but let's take this cheese. I have no other priorities. I have just murdered 3 people in 1833 in America. What do you think's going to happen? You know? So he unknowingly left a trail of stolen booty on the roadway. It was Marcus' route. On the morning that followed, Lewis Hensley, a Sayer family friend, discovered some personal effects in the road which bore the monogram of Samuel Sayer. In other words, he had a marking on it. Fearing the robbery had taken place. What's that? That JF impression is coming handy. Yeah, it has, hasn't it? These people, they are white and they treat me this way.
They are not retarded. I cannot fuck them.
I will make sure I will kill the black girl before I go. You should have fucking left, you stupid ass. She was sleeping. The monogram of Samuel Sayer. Fearing the robbery had taken place, a group of townsfolk decided to search the Sayer property after the grisly discovery of the 3 murder victims. Sheriff George Ludlow set off to pursue the killer. When he caught up with him, LeBlanc was sipping cider in the Mosquito Tavern in Hackensack Meadows. That's quite a haul from Morristown, by the way, if he's in Hackensack. And the pouch of Sayer's possessions at his side. So he stopped to eat, typical Frenchman, that's the big priority. And he had all that guy's shit with his monogram or logo on it. I can see what we're dealing with now. We're dealing with most criminals. Moron. I am 31 years old. I will go to the New World. That was a dumb idea. That was a really dumb idea. According to the subsequent jail cell confession, LeBlanc had stopped to rest en route to New York. Should have went right there. You're not even that far from Hackensack, where he planned to board a ship bound for Germany. Upon spotting Sheriff Ludlow, he's probably stole cash. I was wondering, where did he get the money? Upon spotting Sheriff Ludlow, LeBlanc bolted for the back of the tavern, but he was easily apprehended and transported back to Morristown for prosecution. This is when it starts getting interesting. So you're probably saying to yourself, all right, he's a murderer, triple murder. All right, it's pretty crazy. They're going to kill him, all right?
Yeah, cut and dry. Huh?
Yeah, cut and dry.
Uh-huh.
No. They're not going to just kill him. They're going to cross that line I was talking about before.
Right.
The trial of Antoine Le Blanc for the murders of the Sayer family began in a courtroom number 1 of Morristown County Courthouse on August 13th, 1833. By the way, it's still there. I got a ticket. I had to go there once. After being afforded all the formalities of a fair hearing, a jury took 22 minutes to find the defendant guilty. The next day, Judge Gabriel Ford handed down the sentence. LeBlanc was to be hanged by the neck until dead. And then he delivered to Dr. Isaac. Then he was delivered to Dr. Isaac Canfield, a surgeon, for dissection. That's not necessary, is it?
No, like.
No.
It's just the hanging.
So we're going to, you can hang him, throw him in the ground, burn him, whatever. No. Apparently, Dr. Isaac Canfield wasn't done. And I think if the murder wasn't so horrific and so out of what would happen in Morristown, or really anywhere, it's a pretty horrendous murder, even by today's standards, he wouldn't have gone to a surgeon for dissection. This guy's Canfield sounds like a mad scientist for me. On the afternoon of September 6th, LeBlanc stood atop modern gallows erected in the village green for this occasion. The new device was designed to jerk the condemned man upward rather than drop him to the floor beneath him like conventional gallows. So we're getting upgrades, you know. A crowd? Yeah, they're just going straight up instead of the drop. I guess somebody had to make it a little more complicated than it needed to be. Maybe, I don't know, maybe it was more humane. Something tells me no. Something tells me no. Absolutely not. This is really wild. A crowd estimated at between 10 and 12,000. You had 10 and 12,000 people in for an event in Morristown now. It would probably shut the town down. All right? Even Deaf Noodles couldn't get out of there. A crowd is estimated between 10 and 12,000 to descend upon Morristown, greatly outnumbering the local population, which was about 25,000. I wonder what the population is now of Morristown at the time. The jeering mob, many who carried bagged lunches, made their way into tall trees into the nearby rooftops to get a better view of the execution. I'm going to watch somebody die today. Better have a good sandwich with me. That's so people back then were nuts. You know what it is too, like we're so like in the modern Western world, we're so disconnected from death. You can go a long time and live a life and not know anybody besides your grandparents that passed away. These people were surrounded by it. I mean, deaths from giving birth, children not making it much past a couple months. This is commonplace back then. Infection, women giving birth, all sorts of diseases they didn't understand. Fuck. George Washington was probably bled to death by accident because they had a theory that if you were sick, you had bad blood. So if you get the blood out, you'll be all right. No, that doesn't work. So this is the kind of mentality, and really not even a mentality, but just what they believed. You really can't judge them on what they believed and what they knew. That's where science was at. Be grateful you were born now. As bad as it might be for you, it was worse back then, especially industrial age. When the counterweight dropped, LeBlanc shot up in the air about 8 feet. His body twitched for about 2 minutes.
I'm just picturing a Wile E. Coyote fucking Acme bout here. And then he's just pressed the button. Woof! He's boom.
I don't think that was very humane. I think they should have stuck with the old way of doing it. Call me crazy. But I think it's just the part of the theme. It's a part of the theme that just like this guy just didn't need to die. He just didn't need to suffer. We had to go beyond suffering. I'm going to tell you something right now. They killed this man more than once. Wait a minute, Tommy. That's impossible. I thought that too. LeBlanc shot up in the air about 8 feet. His body twitched for about 2 minutes at the end of the rope, and then still. Just over 4 months after the first setting foot on American soil, Antoine Le Blanc's life was ended. But the truly barbaric story still haunts Morristown to this day and is just about to begin.
So hold on. 4 months he's hung. He's getting an autopsy, which he doesn't need.
No, it's more than an autopsy. We're getting there.
Right, okay.
All I can say is, I think I want to go to the new world. I want a new life. Anton, I would not do that if I was you. Well, why? It is so beautiful. It'd be a great adventure. Anton, you are lazy. You're a very lazy man. Do you really want to go to the new world? Yes, I have big dreams. At 31. 31. It seems that the good, God-fearing Presbyterian townsfolk were not content to let this murderous scoundrel to get off so easy with just a mere hanging. It wasn't enough. They had some other more creative ideas of what to do with this monster. First, LeBlanc's lifeless body was cut down from the really badass hanger-upper machine thingy. Boing!
Acme standard.
That was super badass, because are we doing the Antoine Le Blanc story? Clearly. Then doctors Canfield and Joseph Harry conducted some rather unorthodox medical experiments using LeBlanc as their unwitting lab rat, hooking the corpse up to a primitive battery.
Oh,
The doctors endeavored to prove a prevailing theory at the time, which linked electrical current to muscular motor impulses. Although they were unable to resurrect the dead man, the scientists reportedly got LeBlanc eyes to roll around in his head.
no, it sounds like just that part. That sounds like something from Young Frankenstein.
Yeah.
Right? And he just take him onto the Ritz and just to get the body alive again.
Let's stick this fucking wire in his rectum and watch his eyes move around. Jesus Christ. All right, the doctors endeavored to prove, which linked an electrical current to the muscular impulse. Although unable to rescue the dead man, the scientists reported got LeBlanc to move his eyes around his head and cause his limbs to tense somewhat. Even elicited a slight grin from his dead lips. Frankenstein's monster, though, he was not. It gets better. After the good doctors have completed their efforts to advance medical science, a death mask likeness of LeBlanc's face was cast in plaster, as you see right here. And this mask still exists to this day. You're getting a good look on Anton. I get the feeling he was a fat fuck. Don't you?
I've got the feeling he's a fat fuck.
I get the feeling he's a fat fuck, right? Yeah, I am 31. I am a big fat fuck. I come from a nice family in France. And for some reason, I can't keep my ass here. All right. Then it was time to carve him up. LeBlanc's skin was peeled off and dispatched to the Atno Tarney on Washington Street to be fashioned into a variety of charming little keepsakes.
Fuck off.
I had heard this story when I was a kid, and I'm like, all right, get the fuck out of here. Now this is getting nuts, right? A large number of wallets, purses, lampshades, and book jackets were produced from the hair follicles studded hide. Did I say that right? Produced from the hair follicles studded hide. I don't know. Strips of skins were sold on the streets, each one personally signed by the Honorable Sheriff Ludlow to verify its authenticity. The
what you got there, son, is dead Frenchman ass.
No, I signed it myself here. Here you go. The gruesome little souvenirs reportedly found their way into many respectable Morristown homes, where it is said many still remain to this day. Now, unfortunately, nobody could find them. So when I had heard this story, I thought it was crock of shit. As the years passed, most of the residents of Morristown seemed content to let the dark episode of local justice slip quietly between the pages of the town's history. The story of Antoine Le Blanc, however, proved to be harder to kill than the man himself. Rumors concerning the whereabouts of LeBlanc's remains continued to circulate around the area long after 1833 dissection. One such legend was that Dr. Canfield had reassembled the executed man's skeleton to hang in his office. The myth was disproved. However, in 1893, when workers were building an addition to the county clerk's office, they found LeBlanc's missing bones in a small wooden box in the bowels of the old building. They didn't bury the motherfucker. Which is pretty disrespectful if you go by their standards. Me personally, I've told my family you can put me out with the trash. I don't give a fuck. It's like, oh, I want a great funeral. What do you care? Those people that want funerals are fucking egomaniacs, if you ask me. But however, then on Halloween night in 1995, a startling discovery was made which confirmed many of the long-standing rumors concerning the survival of Antoine Le Blanc's artifacts in Morristown. While liquidating the estate of the late Carl Schweitzer, workers from Dawson's auctioneers and appraisers of Morris Plains uncovered the glaze plaster's death mask of Antoine Le Blanc stashed away in a box in Scheitzer's basement. Soon after the grim discovery, the shriveled change purse made from what appeared to be human skin was found tucked away upstairs in the library of the same house. Scheitzer, a retired surveyor for the unofficial town historian, had evidently amassed quite a collection of 19th century artifacts during his lifetime. After his death in 1979, the chore of sorting through his museum fell upon the shoulders of his son Douglas, who in turn called Dawson's, period. I don't get that. Whatever. Maybe I'm missing something. The death mask of Antoine Le Blanc, along with the skin accessories, were put in display in a glass case at Dawson's. Okay, all right. They're calling it Dawson's. All right, I think I get it now. All right, I didn't pick up on that. We had not offered, but we were not offered for a building to the packed house on November 18th auction. After a display was dismantled, the LeBlanc trinkets were returned to the custody of the surviving. My wife's going to kill me because I should know this. Schäfer. It sounds German in there. I'm sure he's going to be it's not Scheisse, it's Schäfer. Ugh. When Weird, New Jersey was invited by Douglas Scherzer, who is the chief of police of Morris Plains, to see the remains of Antoine Le Blanc, we jumped at the chance. In the office, in the back of the police station, he brought out a cardboard box and laid it on the table before us. Folding back the flaps of the package, and he reached inside and unraveled a white towel to reveal the peaceful face of Antoine Le Blanc, as if he was merely sleeping. A delicate plaster eyelids on the death mask closed gently over the graceful intertwining lashes. The pronounced cheekbones sloped down broad, smooth lips which betrayed no expression one way or another. The Howard plaster head seemed to be almost perfect portrait of a dead man, until you notice that both ears had been hacked off before the cast was made. Perhaps this was merely a way to ensure easy removal of the mold of the corpse's head, or maybe there were just two more trinkets to be sold on the open market. Affixed to a shaven crown of eggshells and affixed to shaved crown of the white eggshell's cranium was a small paper tag, which was stated in the 19th century script, Antoine Le Blanc, a Frenchman, murdered Judge Sayer and family, hanged in Morristown, New Jersey. That's why he fucking made that guy a slave. He was a judge. No, you ain't gonna touch me, and you can't complain to anybody. Anton really walked into it. And I have to say, Mr. Sayer, and I'm gonna say this, no one deserves to have their brains beat out with a shovel, but he asked for it. I don't know about Phoebe. I think she got robbed. But he asked for it. How much you want to bet if you were a slave and you got this this white guy, right? You're this guy Sayer must be horrible to work for, and you're a slave. Let's say you're a black slave, you're Phoebe, and then you get this Frenchman in there, and they have less respect for the Frenchman than they do for you. If I'm a black woman, I'm gonna fuck with this white guy every chance I get. And how much you want to bet that's why she got the shovel or the club eventually too? You know?
Because I'm sitting there and I'm like, when you're telling it sounds like fucking Candyland.
Yeah, I know.
I'm waiting for fucking Leonardo DiCaprio to walk out.
Then Chief Scheisser, no, it's not Scheisser, removed the remaining contents of the box. He pulled out a dusty old 8x10 picture frame that contained a small rectangular wallet. It was about 4.5 inches long and a sticky greenish brown color. It was folded over, and the tongue flap fit nearly into a slot on top to close it. I had never seen anything like it before. It was not the tough yet simple hide of a cow or a pig, which we were familiar with, nor was it shiny, rough, and scaly of a reptile. It was thin and frail skin that should have never been folded in such a manner. The skin was cracked and withered. This was the desecrated flesh of a human being. It was inscripted and typed and stripped in paper, a wallet made of human skin, allegedly that of Antoine Le Blanc. And so it would seem that the remainders of the macabre episode of New Jersey history will find their way into the consciousness of deaf noodles and Morristownians. So you're probably thinking to yourself, wow, that can't be real, right?
I need to see this. I need to see this wallet.
The wallet still exists to this day. And there it is. This is made of the skin of Antoine Le Blanc, hung and tanned at Morristown. 1836, it says there, though. And not to give you a close, but yeah, this really happened, and they really did this to this guy. Completely bizarre, even by 1833. And I think it was just like they couldn't kill him enough. They were so, a judge is a pretty big figure in a place like this or in a time like this. But yeah, they had that. You could, I think Jimmy's Haunt, which I don't even know if they have a business in this place anymore. It's I'm sure the building's still there because it was a historic building, but I don't think the restaurant, everything that has ever went into this Sayre farmhouse has failed. I think they sold lamps at one time. It just never really worked. And on top of that, not shockingly, for the last 150 years, people have had trouble working there and living there, having every sort of ghost story you might have ever heard. The ghost is referred to as Phoebe. I've never heard of a situation or even read of a situation, or at least I haven't read this article in about 20 years. But I don't think anybody's ever seen Phoebe or any kind of apparition, but there's a lot of stuff that supposedly goes down there. I don't know if I believed it myself. When I was going to this restaurant, I was like, look, they're embracing the haunting. How much could this be true? Well, certainly the wall is true. Certainly the death mask is true. I think they had, if I'm not mistaken, the death mask was in there when I went in there. I can't remember 100%. Or at least they had some kind of, they may have had some kind of replica of the death mask in there or poster. I can't remember. It's been too long. So this is why I wanted to go. I guess I had a macabre way of looking at things back then. And of course, we got a little tour of the place. And there were other people working. Some of them were moving boxes. Some of them were getting... This place had another good 2 weeks for their grand opening. And the plan was to show me the place, get the tow truck, which this guy helped us with. He was a really great guy. And go out for drinks in Morristown right after that to a real fancy place. I told you, with the Deaf Noodles thing, it's a rich area. It's got serious money. And apparently, it pretty much did back then, too. It's always been a bit affluent. You might have heard of Verizon. I think that's where the headquarters is. And before that, Ma Bell, AT&T. I'm pretty sure Verizon was an offshoot of AT&T. So this place has always been pretty much popping. Every single person I spoke to there, and remember, the grand opening hasn't happened, had an experience with Phoebe. Every single one, including the guy that let us in and got it. They would constantly hear people blowing in their ears, stuff being moved around, things being thrown. Every single person I talked to, most of them were not from New Jersey, and the cook from Mexico said he hadn't heard it until he moved in. He thought he was just going to work at a haunted themed restaurant. He didn't know that it was had a legitimate history. And I wouldn't say that until we're New Jersey, then I don't even know if they still make stuff now, but it was they used to come out every 6 months and then every 3 months. I don't think too many people outside the ghost hunting urban exploration world knew much about it. But there it is, a wallet of human skin. And the thing is, This is the only one I think they have. It's rumored that people in Morristown that were related to these folks in the 19th century, they're still around, and it's just kind of a weird thing to have. So there may be more, but to this day, from what I understand, these are the only wallets or trinkets that have ever been discovered. And who knows? I don't know about you. I don't have a lot of familiarity on how human skin lasts, so maybe they just wore out during time. But this thing looks like it's in pretty reasonably good condition.
It looks in good shape. That's the thing, because like I'm sitting here, and fair enough, like the death, like now I know that's a death mask, and I genuinely just thought somebody took a plaster of Murphy's head when they were building the RoboCop suit.
No,
but that wallet is
something.
That is something.
Yeah, this is something like as backwards as Europe was back then. They wouldn't do something like this. We were only a couple hundred years removed from burning witches at that point. When was the Salem witch trial?
It was the 1600s.
16. So it was a good 200 years away. In a lot of ways, and I noticed this just with you talking to other Irish people, Americans that immigrate keep a lot of the old European traditions and take all their weirdness with them to the New World, whereas Scotland, Ireland, England progress on and some of those traditions fade, where Americans tend to keep them going. And in a lot of ways, like Irish Americans that are very traditional Irish Americans that I've met are actually more traditional than the folks in the old country in a roundabout way, even though they don't have much of a connection to it other than their surname. But there is nothing like this. There's nothing like this in Europe. It's incredible. I really wonder what the Sayre House is now, even if it's a commercial enterprise anymore. But this, hands down, and there's a lot of weird stories in New Jersey. There's a lot of weird stories no matter where you live, and connections to all sorts of bizarre and macabre history. But this has to be the weirdest in the state, hands down. This is a barbaric murder done by a guy that had no business coming to this country. And he just happened to run into I'm pretty sure Judge Sayre was a bastard. Yeah, just a guess. And by the way, people in Morristown to this day are known for being snotty, rich cunts. So I think that's where it was sort of handed down. Beautiful town though. I actually spent a lot of time in Morristown because my aunt, she kind of married into the whole AT&T family. I'm not going to go. I don't want to dox anybody. I'll just be that vague. So I got to spend a lot of time in this beautiful town. And, Washington was there. I think it's referenced in the Sopranos. They kill him in Morristown, if I'm not mistaken. The one kid they killed, that's the last soda you'll ever have. That takes place in Morristown. Although I don't think they filmed it there. So that's it. Happy Halloween, motherfucker. Get your skin wallets. And if you guys want to call in and tell me your own stupid, spooky story, go right ahead. If you don't call in, I'm not doing an after show. And I don't think we'll be doing much of an after show anyway, because I don't think there's a lot of stuff going on. I'll do 30 minutes of the after show if we get some good calls. If not, we will say goodbye. And I hope you enjoyed. Put it one chat if you enjoyed it, too, if you didn't. For real or hardcore guys that remembered the original, which I don't even think got 1,000 views, and I would consider it a bit of a disaster stream, but I thought this would be a good way to do it. Good, I'm glad you liked it.
Because, because I've spoke to you, Tom,
Sure.
I'm into the paranormal stuff, and here's where everybody can laugh at me, because obviously, I've done the Ouija boards, I've got all the gear, and I've had more interest in the American hauntings than I do even the Scottish ones.
I have more interest in European hauntings. I'm exactly the opposite.
And then, but when you hear little stories like this, I'm right into them, because the Viscera, Iowa axe murder house. Yeah, it's that to me is an amazing story, and how haunted that's meant to be.
That area. I would love to go European. And the thing is, a lot of ghost history or haunted history was lost in Germany after the war. It's just something if a German saw a ghost, he wouldn't tell you. You know, where I think an Englishman would tell his story. If they have a paranormal experience, they stuff it. They will not say anything because, you know, the Nazis had an interest in the paranormal as well as a lot of occult type stuff. So it's to them, it's too closely associated with that. But Germany was every bit a part of the spiritualist movement. You know, they had German mediums and stuff like that. But after 1945, it just stopped. Really, the two biggest ghost stories or strange happenings in Germany: exorcism of Emily Rose, or in German, her name was Angelise Michel, from oh god, I forgot the name of the town, and I actually buried somebody. Aschaffenburg. I actually buried somebody over there when I was in the army. And then there was the Rosenberg incident, which is a poltergeist agent haunting, which is where there's no ghost, but somebody is subconsciously moving shit around. Like, yeah, can I take your order? And you know, shit like that. You know, that woman's still alive, from what I understand too. With the poltergeist, they fired this woman, and the shit stopped. But that was the only two big good, like, ghost stories. Just there's, you know how you can go to, like, in the States, you go to Haunted Massachusetts or find a book.
Yeah.
They don't have that over here.
No,
which is unfortunate, because you know they got to have, like, awesome stories and shit. You know, because whether you believe in the shit or you don't, it's still cool. You know, and in this particular story, I mean, if there's a haunted place on Earth, I would put my money on it being in the Sayre House. I had no experience. I didn't find it terribly creepy. The only thing that made it kind of creepy is these non-New Jerseyans were basically in lockstep with their stories. One guy, he was moving a lot of stuff to the basement, so he's down there by himself. He said it freaked him out. He just got used to it and expected Phoebe to be around any corner or to do something. He felt, although I don't particularly believe in these kind of hauntings, I don't believe that ghosts are like invisible people just kind of like fucking with you. But that's what he thought, that that he was dealing with a conscious being of sorts. Whereas most ghost stories that I've come across are more like a tape loop or seeing something.
Yeah, the stone tape theory.
Yeah, that's residual haunting, where it's almost like it can be explained through quantum physics. You're seeing a tape loop. You're not seeing it like a disembodied human being that has a consciousness. He felt that Phoebe was very, very much interactive and very conscious. He said he called out for her. She would knock, the whole nine. You know, so I don't know. Those hauntings are the more common one is a residual haunting. That would be an intelligent haunting, and that's the rarest shit. Is an intelligent haunting. I would even say it was less common than demonic hauntings. But demonic hauntings, hauntings are the most bullshit ones. Like the
I agree with that. Yeah. I totally agree with that.
There's one in Wisconsin that I bought. Wisconsin was something in, I think it's Huron, Larrabee Street, and you might be familiar with the story. Something evil in Larrabee Street. That's the only one I ever bought. But I don't think they even use the word demon. But that one was pretty aggressive. That case, and that happened in the '80s, and it actually was profiled in Unsolved Mysteries, and those people never gave away their names or never made a nickel on it. Never made a movie or that shit. Not like the jackasses in Amityville or the jackasses in Westfield that are doing this fucking... I get news for you. Put it on in the chat if anybody's watching The Watcher on Netflix. Is anybody... It's interesting. Have you watched The Watcher?
I want to watch it, but I've heard you saying don't.
Well, no, I wouldn't say don't. Don't. So nobody's really watching The Watcher anyway. What a shock. It's Netflix. Nobody, not one person is interested in The Watcher. I don't know if you watched it or not, but here's what I'm going to tell you right now. It's horse shit. The old man wrote the letters more than likely. All right. I haven't watched it, but I heard the story. Yeah, I think you're probably better. I'd recommend a YouTube video because it looks like a bunch of horse shit. But The Watcher's not paranormal. It's just creepy. So let's take some calls. Welcome to Shop from the Point Halloween special. What's your ghost story?
So that guy was turned into a wallet, right? That's what the whole story was about?
Pretty much, for real. And we have the physical evidence.
In Wyoming, where the guy, his physician, turned him into a pair of shoes, wore him, and used his skull as an ashtray.
Send me that. I think I heard that.
What did he do?
Here you go. I
Send me that. All right. Now you got. All right. Apparently, where are you from again?
I'm from Washington, but I've heard about this story
in
before.
Wisconsin. Well, what a shock! Fucking Jeffrey Dahmer's hometown. Somebody's weirder than the guy in New Jersey. Sure. Yeah, fire that over to me. I'll take a look.
I just sent it to you.
All right. Let's check this out. You don't necessarily have to do is you could tell a personal story, whatever. Big Nose George, a grizzly frontier tale. Yeah, I've heard. Oh, look at that.
Oh,
a death mask of Big Nose George. He had a big nose. And shoes made from his skin on display. Did this guy commit a murder or something? And they just fixed his ass?
He arrested for horse theft.
Yeah, can't do
tried
that.
By a justice of peace and whatever. He's also believed to have kept headquarters. No, it doesn't. It just looks like he did horse theft.
Yeah.
And they killed him and skinned him and turned him into shoes for horse theft.
That's the thing. That'll learn him. You don't want to be turned into a pair of shoes, do you?
This is all around. Them turning him into a wallet, and this happened in.
This happened a little later. Yeah, they're crazy out west. You know what it is? Like a lot of those guys, there were marauders and murderers out there, so they probably put him on that hand. You're not just a horse thief. Get the fuck out of here. Yeah, and they just fixed his ass. If I had to guess,
that's all they have in the article, but okay. I just thought it was.
Yeah, they might not know it, but the people, like, if there was a marauder in the area where he was stealing horses, he would have. If the way frontier justice worked, they would have just like, you know what, you probably killed that family. Fuck you. That's the way things rolled back then. All right, anything else?
Nope, that's it.
Thanks, man. Good one. That's pretty good one. Pretty good one. All right, let's take Class Ghost. You're on the air.
Okay. This is more of my dad's story.
Sure. Go ahead. I'm listening.
So, a while back, he was taking out the trash at his old condo in Ohio, and hold on. What the?
You're blowing.
Sorry, I cannot.
What's the matter with you?
Me?
Yeah.
Audio problem on my end.
Oh, want me to get
There's
you
a
back?
delay on my end. I'm sorry.
You want to go? You want to screw with it, and I'll pull you back later.
No, I'll just end the call right here.
Yes. Call back. Just fix it out.
Okay.
All right. Deckard, Canadian ghost story?
Not quite a ghost story, but I want to talk about pig farming for a second here.
Yes.
More specifically,
how disgusting it is.
Pig farm. I'll send you a link right now. Most prolific serial killer in Canadian history. You see it Snatch and like
like they could devour the
or what was the other one? Fucking Hannibal. Always be careful about people that have a pig farm. Well, this guy inherited this pig farm. And he started throwing these like wild fucking raves and all this shit with like sex workers. Hell's Angels were showing up to these parties, like 2,000 people there. But he was also out back, like in the slaughterhouse, murdering the hookers and feeding them to the pigs, and then selling the pig meat mixed with human meat to the general public.
So that would get people sick, I would imagine, right? You can't eat people and not get sick, right? Isn't that right? I don't know. They didn't pick this guy up. They didn't pick this guy up until 2002.
Yeah, 1983 to 2002.
He is
his only remorse when confessing to the 49 murders is that he wasn't able to get the 50th one to bring it out to an even 50.
Wow, what a great guy.
Oh yeah.
I read about a Canadian serial killer recently. He killed a bunch of people in the 70s, and then the Mounties cut a deal with him. If he gave up bodies, then they would give him his family, not him, like $10,000 a pop. And the public found out about it, and they were like furious. But they did get their bodies though, and a lot of people got to close. A lot of people got to bury their loved ones. But this looks good. I have never heard of Robert Pickton. Robert Pickton, most prolific serial killer. He's still alive.
Yeah, and because we don't have the death penalty up here, he's only got a life sentence of possibility of parole after 25 years.
But here's the thing. Here's the thing about it. Canadian is if you kill somebody in Canada, you're pretty much going to do it. If you don't get in the news or it's not that big a deal or it's a gangland, you're getting out in 20 years. You're going to get out in 20 years. You're going to get out. It's ridiculous. But if you're somebody like Robert Pickton, and you're famous, what they can do is they can kind of re-up it every year afterwards.
Well, if you notice, for victims, it's 6 convicted, 49 confessed, and then there was a stay in 2010 about another 20 murders. They're basically like, as soon as that 25 years is up, they're gonna slap them with another bunch of the.
This happened in 2002. That's interesting. When did Snatch come out? What year did that movie?
2000. I actually have it brought up to you because I was going to bring up the whole brick top thing.
So this guy knew, like, it's funny. So the guy that made Snatch knew the trick before this guy had been doing it. Apparently the murders spanned from 1983 to 2002. I'm definitely
Hannibal
looking
come
at
out.
that Robert
2001. So both Hannibal and Snatch came out before this guy got locked up.
Wow, that's crazy.
It's the oldest trick in the book.
Is that something they'd say in like Finnish farms? Like, I'd never heard that until I saw. I'm from New Jersey. I never heard of the pig thing until I saw Snatch. I remember it made sense though when I heard it.
Have you never? I think I've never lived near a big farm.
No, I've lived. Well, I don't know, Flemington. There's a couple farms, yeah, but not pig farms.
No,
not.
I lived at one, near one.
No, I never heard that. Like, I'm from New Jersey. We fucking, throw you in the trunk of a car and then, Uncle Vito crushes it. That's the way it rolls where I'm from.
Uncle Vito.
He crushes it. All right, Decker, thanks so much. I'm going to take some more calls.
Yeah.
All right, let's see. Well, actually, let's put in Verse. Verse, how are you? Do you have a story? I doubt it.
Hold on, Tommy. I'm finishing my race in Need for Speed. This is really important. I'm on the last lap.
All right, great. Tyrone, you're on the air. You got something for us? Anything spooky, creepy, otherwise?
Okay. Basically, Tommy, wait. Let me just... Okay, I have some context for this Le Blanc fellow, basically.
Yes.
Because, you said that he committed this in, like, 1833, which...
1833, yeah.
Yeah. Which is directly, basically, after the fall of Napoleon, and right when Felipe was crowned, because...
So he might have dipped, is what you're going to say. That he had to dip.
Yes.
Makes sense. All right, so you think I was being unfair to this man unjustly? You think I'm giving the triple murderer a raw deal? You know what? I appreciate the correction. Sometimes you got to get the fuck out of town.
It's just there's a lot of immigrants.
No, you're right. No, you're probably right. Yeah, actually, you're probably right.
And it's like there's a lot of people, especially even in their 30s, because you're making a big point of that earlier.
Yeah.
There's like there's mass immigration, but it was mainly to other areas of.
Well, you gotta wonder how much this was fucking made up. LeBlanc, a French immigrant, he could have his family could connect to Napoleon, and he stood a lot to lose. So the only chance he could have had is go to the States. But he's always portrayed as a. I've seen other stories that he was really looking forward to coming to the States and making something for himself. That's the way he's always portrayed. It could be poor shit, and that's a good point. I don't know why, if you were middle class, why you'd leave France and go to the States.
That's when they were killing everyone there. I mean, literally the fucking every time they got a new king. I mean, this was directly after the Reign of Terror. They started killing everyone over and over again. Felipe had to hide in Switzerland for 20 years before he even came back to France. It was like,
oh, okay. So I gave him a raw deal. I'm glad we framed it. There's nothing like there's nothing like slandering a 200-year-old triple murderer. It really has to be correct. He hasn't had a slip up
in 200 years, Tommy.
Right. Thanks, Tyrone.
Welcome back, Le Blanc.
Right.
That's what we need.
Tyrone, the birth controller. Well, I appreciate the story, man. Thanks.
Yeah.
No, he's right. No, he's probably makes a certain amount of sense. But in fairness, he can't prove that. So we're New Jersey. We have to take their word for it. Abby Blackbird, you got a story for us? Howdy.
I know very weird situations that happen. Like a girl got a whole glass stuck up in her urethra. I didn't know until like there was something wrong with her, and she's like, "Oh shit!" And they took an X-ray, and it was there. Or
we
how
got the evidence of that. I was thinking more
yeah,
creepy.
it does exist.
I didn't want sex. I can't. No matter what I do, I can't escape sex degeneracy.
Self-reporting right now.
Oh, it's so bad. Or like somebody was poo-pooing out of their pee-pee hole.
Oh, you're just weird. That's just gross. I'm thinking a creepy story or a serial killer or something odd, missing people. It is Halloween. It's not sex fetish night.
I don't know why that was all. No, it's not sex fetish. I think she was just a dumb bitch. I think that's a little different.
What? She fucking just what? She stuck a fucking glass up her hoo-hoo and
she had no idea until like she was like, "Oh shit, like I'm having issues," and then she went to the hospital and they're like, "Yeah, there's a fucking glass up there, dude."
All right, next time you have a crazy story like this, you back it up with something, woman. You got that?
I will. I got you. I'm driving, so I can't.
We gotta. All right. Thank you, Abby Blackbird. Thank you.
No problem.
I'm thoroughly gonna throw up now. Thanks.
Fucking Abby Fatbird self-reporting.
I think there's a better chance of skin wallets than that story being true, though.
Yeah. No, the whole reason I was just listening to the story, and I gotta say, Tommy, that was a little dramatic for a Ridge sponsorship, don't you think?
A little dramatic? What? I don't understand.
You know what? Fuck it.
Are you speaking about the stream that got deleted 5 years ago on Halloween? 5 years ago today? Because everybody, I like
skin ridge wall. You know what?
Oh no, I missed the joke.
Yeah, that's fine.
I wish I could add that old stream.
You get nothing now.
I get nothing.
I'll give you silence. That's it.
I got murderers to check out. Robert Pickton. That's it. All right, everybody. Thanks so much. If you want to give me a long call, I'm only going to do 30 minutes. I'll let me know you about less of my schedule. I'm going to be doing a lot of stuff on my soccer channel. I'm also going to be putting more content here when there's games. So most of the time we're going to be going on. We're still going on pretty much a permanent announcement basis. So if there are big games coming up in the World Cup, there may be some adjustments. We'll be doing more shows on Wednesdays.
Everybody wants soccer.
Well, you don't have to watch it. But what I'm going to do, you don't have to watch soccer with me if you don't want to. If you do, sub the Glory Hunters Live. That's what we've been doing. So you can watch it with us. But if for some reason there is going to be, let me get this out, stupid, and then you can laugh at me. There'll be a lot of adjustments for the World Cup and pretty much big games. So if there's big games, we'll be doing, to replace them, more shows on Wednesday and more shows on Friday. And if necessary, Saturday as well. So we'll be moving around. So it's kind of, that's just the kind of way we're doing it. I figure fucking Augie can fucking stream whatever the fuck he likes. Why can't I? Yeah, but look for some clips and some new stuff. I thought your friendly Arab, he made a really good point on the Keemstar show that I want to go over. So you might look for that video real soon. So that's all we got. I'm pretty much done. If you want to do the after show. Would you like to do the after show verse?
I'll do it for a bit. You said 30
All
minutes.
right. Well, I'm going to play some music and
yeah, that's fine.
I'll have you bring it in there. So that's it. I'm done. I finally got the Antoine Le Blanc story. I don't think this will get deleted. I thought it was a little better. Maybe next year we'll do something else. I don't know. It wasn't like it was popular request.
This is the almighty infinite, independent excellence. Devil fighting, rebel titan, weed smoking alchemist. Fake identities, okay, you cool with Jason Bourne. Running with these Wolverines, okay, you about to catch a storm. I ain't never been a liar, got tired of niggas playing me. Head in my legs like she about to catch a pedigree. Chi-town, the king's home, slapping fives, black stones, 6 mile to danger zones. Bullets look like waffle cones. Folk affiliated the evolution of Machiavelli. Don't make me lead them eagles to you like I'm Chip Kelly. They feel my struggle, I express it through my hip hop. I'm about to make it hard to breathe. Here's a headline.
Well, clearly you didn't bring your
Autism has become an epidemic.
Thank you. That was pretty